Welcome to Built by Referrals, where we turn relationships into referrals and we teach you how to do it. My name is Blake Sammons and I'm your host. Today, we have got somebody very exciting and very special to introduce you to. His name is Cody Ward of CMG Home Loans, based out of Charleston, South Carolina. Cody, welcome, sir.
Thank you, Blake. Excited to be here.
Yeah, man, I'm excited for you to be here. Obviously, we are based in the same city, so Cody and I are friends. I wanted to bring him to this channel, this podcast, and let everybody learn about some of the things that you're doing. So I think that you do referral business at a really high level. So I thought, even though that you are not necessarily a real estate agent, your business is intertwined with real estate. So I wanted to give other people, maybe loan officers, maybe agents, the chance to learn how you're doing business, what you're doing that's unique, and just kind of learn about you in general. So I'd say let's just kind of start off just by telling everybody a little bit of background. Like, how did you get started in your business?
Yeah, so I'm originally from California. I grew up there, lived there until I was 25 or so. Tales old as time, followed my wife east to move to the East Coast. But I started my career in sort of the Silicon Valley tech startup world right after college, doing account management, sales, all different types of positions in sort of customer relationships and growth in startups. Bounced around a little bit as happens a lot in that world before moving east. And then I was sort of made a career transition into marketing and advertising for a pharmaceutical advertising agency. So my background really is a lot in relationships, in relationship building, in development of relationships. And I had actually bought 2 homes and I had, fine experiences with my realtors and my lenders that I had bought homes with. But as my family was starting, my wife was pregnant with our first, I sort of wanted to get into something I was more passionate about. I've always had sort of a tangential interest in real estate. Some, family members, grandparents were investors or had multiple homes in real estate. So it was kind of, I don't want to say it was a family business, but there was always sort of this interest there for me. And as I really started to kind of think of what I wanted to do next, I wanted to be able to start something for myself, really build a business of my own. I kind of make a joke that like I've sort of always had an issue with authority. So I mean that in a nice way, that working for myself kind of felt like the best option for who I was and my personality.
That's why we're all in real estate. Let's be honest.
Yeah, we don't want to work for anybody else.
No.
And it also gave me the freedom and the lifestyle that I wanted as I raised, I brought kids into the world and I have 2. But just to be able to be wherever I wanted to be, be able to leave and not be at the beck and call of someone else necessarily.
Sure.
So I could go to swim lessons, I can go to recitals, I can do all these things and, not be some of that like sort of old school, TV dad caricature, right? That doesn't go to anything or works all the time. So I really wanted to prioritize, lifestyle. And so real estate afforded me that, from a lending perspective, right? As I said, I was interested in real estate, but when I looked at it, I kind of thought, what was the part of that process that I felt most in the dark about when I was buying my first 2 homes? And that was the mortgage side. I just really felt like I just didn't understand all of it. And just as being a curious person, I felt like, hey, this would be an opportunity, 1, to just like learn something that even I didn't know about. But number 2 is there has to be people like me who have bought homes maybe, or they're first time home buyers that really just don't know anything about what they're doing. And that was true. That feeling was accurate because I talked to a lot of first time home buyers that they don't know what's going on. They don't have any idea what goes into a mortgage. And so being able to kind of bring that relationship building, that relationship development, and the desire to like educate and help people feel more comfortable in that decision kind of led me down the mortgage path from a real estate perspective, just to give people more than what I felt I was provided. Again, no, not throwing shade at the other people I worked with. All I'm saying is that I just felt like there was just such an opportunity in this business to like go deep with people and really educate them. Correct. So yeah.
Well, that's perfect. Well, That gives a good background on your business, and I think ultimately that kind of leads directly to where we're going next. Is what does your business look like today? Obviously, this channel and everything built around this channel is about referrals. So like, how did you get into the referral side of business and the networking aspect, and how did that shift your business? How did that change the way that you started to grow?
Yeah, so I was actually lucky enough when I wanted to start looking at this business. I reached out to a friend of mine who I play golf with, and he was a realtor. And I actually asked him, I said, "Hey, do you know any loan officers that you like that would be willing to talk to me?" Right. And so really my first thing I ever did in this business was reach out to somebody I know and use a
Mhm.
relationship. Um, and luckily for me, he introduced me to my mentor, who I've learned everything from, and his business was very much built around relationships. So for lack of a better way of saying it, like I didn't really know any other way
Okay.
other than like having to just deep dive into relationships. One of the coaches in our industry, he has a great line, and I'm probably going to butcher it, but something along the lines of, transactions will make you a living, but relationships will make you a fortune. And I love that line
That's a
because
great
it
line.
is it is such a just a great way to look at the business of relationships are everything. In this world, I'm very much an advocate, even outside of business, of just like building relationships, having a community, and being active and outside and meeting people. I love people, and so it was just a really good way to do it, and I felt like a great way for the business to work, and for me to grow my business.
Sure. Love that. Well, let's kind of dive into that a little bit, and because I know you have like a referral network and things like that, and I wanted to kind of give you the chance to maybe either coach, teach, or educate other loan officers, but also other agents, out there that are looking to connect with the loan officer. Like, can you talk about like the referral network that you've built? And then what I'd love to is after that is I want to dive into how you and I connected through the disc. So I want to kind of pre talk about that in a minute. But if you'll talk a little bit about like your referral network and the way that you kind of build business with your agents and with the people who work with you.
Yeah, yeah. The so it's something we call our consumer referral program, and we think that this business is built on relationships, and so for lack of a better way of saying it, is relationships are everything, and so the relationships that we build through our partners are relationships that we feel are partly owned by that same partner. And so when I say our consumer referral program, we structure it in a way where if we receive a referral, and that referral leads to more referrals, we feel like any new business that comes from that should be returned back to the person that made the original referral. So that is something that we see as extremely important. We're not here to say, "Hey, you sent us this person, that person sent us, and we're going to go shop that out to someone else." Because that, to us, that, for lack of a better way of saying it, that doesn't belong to us, right? That is a relationship built
Sure.
through that partner. And so
Okay.
what I've done and what I try to do on a regular basis is I've built relationships with realtors, obviously in the area, but also financial advisors,
Mhm.
CPAs, estate planning attorneys, all of these people that fit into the way we see it as the mortgage and homeownership fits into like a holistic financial plan. It's not just a house, and then you have everything else that lives over on the other side. And so the mortgage should fit into that. So part of our program is we ask all of our buyers, "Hey, do you have a financial advisor, right? Do you have a CPA or a tax person that you trust? Do you have a will in place, right, or a trust? Do you have an estate attorney that you work with?" So we're asking people these questions. One is because that makes sure that not only are we going to help them get into a house, but should anything happen, they're going to keep that house, right?
Mhm.
From a or their family gets to keep that house. Home ownership is a great way to build generational wealth. But if you don't lose that house if something happens to you or to your family members, then what, I don't want to say what good is it, because you still have the house, but like you just don't get to take advantage of that generational wealth aspect of it. So by having this network of other partners outside the business is twofold, really. One, when someone needs that, we have a partner that we've built a relationship that we trust and like, that we can send someone that way as well to kind of
Sure.
build that relationship as part of that. Um,
Yeah.
but Two, it gives us an opportunity again to return more business back to the original referral partner. So an example of that would be, a realtor sends us a client. That client has or needs a financial advisor, right? They meet with a financial advisor that we recommend, right? Then that person talks to their friend, and that comes back, and that person says, "Hey, well, I want to buy a house too," right? So their friend comes back to us. We then return that back to the realtor who referred that original person. Or
Sure.
on the flip side of it, by asking that question of, "Do you have someone that you like?" is gives us an opportunity for a new relationship. So
Yeah.
the other way to look at it is, a realtor sends us a referral. That person, we ask if they have a financial advisor they like. That financial advisor gets involved with the transaction because we want to make sure that the mortgage fits within their long-term planning as well. And so we have those conversations. That financial advisor says, "Hey, I have another client that's shopping for a house, right? I would love for you to talk with them as well." That person doesn't have a realtor. We're going to return that realtor back, because that relationship, that tree, right, started with the realtor, moved to the person, moved to the financial advisor, moved to another client. That person, again, belongs to that original kind of starting point,
Yeah.
which was the realtor.
You're
And
the
so that,
person who planted the seed, right? And like that way when the
yeah, it's a
tree
great, yep,
grows. Yeah.
yep,
Yeah.
exactly. And so we
And
want
so
to
that's
make
a
sure
great
that,
thought to have when you're like, introducing somebody to you, is that, okay, if this ever comes back in a different form of business, it'll come back to me because of the relationship you're building. But one other thing that
exactly,
you said that I would love to kind of break down into almost like layman's terms, if you will, but when somebody introduces you to a new client, you've got a whole circle of people that you can then use the referral based business and connect more people with your referral partners and vice versa. So when they plug into you, they're not just plugging into Cody Ward, they're plugging into Cody Ward's network and how you can help them holistically.
exactly. Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Love that. Love that. Well, that's amazing. So, one additional thing that when we first started talking and working together, I really connected with your ability to talk about the disc scale and how to help people, and that kind of goes right into my next question: is how to take care of referrals, right? So, how to take care of the people who refer business to you, but also how to take care of the person, the client, because that's what's most important. And when we first connected, I said, "Hey, are you familiar with the disc?" And you said yes, and you immediately sent me your disc report. And so, we really connected on that and how to help other people utilizing the disc scale of communication and things like that. So, I'd love for you to just kind of talk about how you take care of your referral partners, which you kind of already highlighted, but how you take care of the people that you are trusted with, the clients that are coming to you, and just kind of give a synopsis on some of the things that make you unique.
Yeah. Yeah. So I talked about the consumer referral program. That is how we take care of our partners. We want to always make sure that we are providing, return on the sort of the investment, if you want to say that way, that a partner is giving us, right? They're giving us an opportunity to work with that client. And so any referrals that come from that, we want to return that back. But we don't just, hey, sit and hope that someone refers us. We do take kind of strategic opportunities in order to try and find those referrals. And we always want to, return those back to the person that gave us. That is how we feel it works best. And that's how we build deeper relationships with our referral partners,
Yeah.
is by obviously, you know, providing more business. And I would like to say, to use the cliche, like a rising tide lifts all ships, right? So the more opportunities we can provide and work together on is going to help both businesses, is going to give us an opportunity to access even more, right? And so we've seen it time and time again. Someone refers us business, that person comes to us first, or that person's friend comes to us first to get a mortgage. We then send that back to the realtor. That person has a great experience again with both the realtor and loan officer. That person then has a friend that sends it back to the realtor. And then it just becomes this cycle of just like friends of friends of friends of friends, because it's more of the team aspect in the business as opposed to like, I'm on my own. And this is like a vendor. I never want to be considered a vendor. I want to be considered a partner. And so how do we have a partnership to help grow our business together? And like we said at the beginning, right? We are very much working on our own. We are self-employed. We're building our own book of business. And so building those partnerships to be able to grow together is extremely valuable. As far as the people that come to us, I view that any referral that is sent to me I become a reflection of the person that sent it to me. So when I say that team aspect is I represent your image as the realtor as much as I represent my own, because when you're trusting your commission to me, you are putting so much trust in me that like could be putting food on food on the table for your kids, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like that's how you make your money, and so I have to treat that like gold, and that I can't treat this person, as if they're just some transaction. They are an extension of my partnership with you, and the most valuable thing to me in this business is that partnership. And so by what I think are extremely valuable things that we do and my team and I do is, one, we like to value that we're very prompt. We don't want to let people's questions go unanswered. We're going to respond quickly. We're going to move quickly. We're going to make sure that people feel comfortable with every decision that they're making. We are very heavily focused on the education. So we will take as much time as someone needs in order to understand what we're talking about, or what they're getting into. I always say, if I'm putting you in hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of debt, I have a professional responsibility to help you understand and then manage that. Right. Yeah. And so the education piece is key. And there are clients that I have spent hours on the phone with to just understand like what is in their mortgage, what is the payment, like how does that work? And then it's like sometimes it's I talk to one spouse and the other spouse isn't on the call, and I have to redo all of that over again. I'm happy to take that time again, because it's the people side of this is more important to me than like the number on the the balance sheet, and helping people understand the value of buying a house, the value of what the investment that they're making, is going to make them feel more comfortable. But also from a business perspective, I mean, and sort of selfishly, is like the more I invest in that person, the more likely they're going to tell a friend or family member, hey, if you're buying a house, you got to go talk to Cody, right?
Yeah.
And that allows me again an opportunity to then build my partner up as well, right? And bring that partner back into the fold.
I feel like I have a statement, much like the rising tide floats all boats statement, that I constantly utilize is networking through people, not necessarily to people, right? And like when you roll out the red carpet for your clients, if you do a fantastic job with those clients, they will then extend that red carpet to the next person. And so that same mentality, I think, really applies here. So awesome. Well, so we're going to shift into talking a little bit more about things that you've learned. And I think this may be probably more directly talking to maybe younger loan officers or people getting started or looking to become a loan officer, things like that. So I'd love to talk about because we kind of dove into some systems and habits and things like that. Now, one thing I think before we jump, actually, I'm going to say this is one thing about your systems and habits that I know that you do, and I'd love for you to take a moment to talk about this, is rather than having phone calls, you do a lot of Zoom calls where you can see people. Would you kind of just take a moment and talk about that shift, that mindset shift, to be able to have a face-to-face conversation?
Yeah. So I love getting on video calls. I think it's so valuable. There's a lot of people that are obviously used to it after the last 5 years with COVID and everything. So it's not as much of a hurdle for a lot of people now to just jump on a video call. People were doing it with friends and family. But I think there's nothing more valuable in a relationship building as being able to see someone and being able to, visualize and read, body language and see how they're reacting. Right. And a lot of times over the phone, or I've seen this a lot with like text messaging, is like tone sometimes can be misconstrued when you can't see someone. Human beings, I believe, are very much supposed to be interacting, face to face. So video calls allow us to do that, obviously without having to be right next to each other. And so I believe that it's made a huge difference in my business as far as like being able to see someone and talk to someone. And I've actually gotten feedback from people who were shopping lenders who said like, it was just nice to be able to just like see a human being, right? And just see that you were, you're right here. And I've had, video calls where I'm sitting there and my daughter walks in, right? Opens the door and starts like, dad, right? But
that's my kid.
Some people but like some people may say, well, that's, I don't like that. Like I can just, on the phone, they don't see that. But I think that humanizes us, right? And people want to work with a human being. And so, I mean, I've gone to open houses with my daughter in hand, right? And just like, I'm there to, get my name out there and meet people, but it's like, I had her, so I might, she might as
I'm
well
still
come with me.
human. I
So
got kids too.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Love
I think
that.
there's just a human element. A story I love to tell, especially like from a text message to a phone call to a video call perspective, is like we've all had challenging, conversations or challenging things, and some people just like to text. But I sort of have a rule that if we're on the third email or the third text, like let's just get on a call, right? Let's not go back and forth on something.
Sure.
And what I found is that early in my career, I was doing a lot more texting because I was just like, it felt convenient and, I could do it on my computer. And so it just like felt easy. But there were some times where I'm like, wow, this person is just like so rude, right? This person is like, they're upset at me. Like, I don't know what I did wrong. They just seem upset. I got on the phone with them, or I got on a video call with them, and you see them in their face. And it's just like, that's just how they type, but it's not who they are. Like, you didn't do anything wrong. And so just
Now it
by
can be
connecting
taken.
with someone is like, you can totally misconstrue a text message or a phone call because someone can be on a phone call and like their kid is throwing stuff around and they're super distracted. And so they don't sound as excited as you think they should
Sure.
be, or they don't sound as engaged. But then when you see them on it, face to face, it's like, oh, they're reacting. And it's just, you just get a much better sense of who this person is. And you just get to build that deeper relationship.
Yeah, I love that because I do the same thing with my clients. I try to see them, get to know them, teach them. So I think that's why we, work well together because you carry the same leg of business that I start with. So, okay, well, perfect. Well, again, let's kind of shift to talk a little bit more. This might be more directly talking to a young loan officer or somebody who's considering getting into mortgages. What are some lessons that you've learned? Like maybe a failure or some successes that you have learned through the School of Hard Knocks that you'd be willing to share?
Yeah. So the biggest lesson I've learned is that is exactly what this podcast is about, is that it's all about relationships. And I'm sure realtors get this too, but loan officers, as you're getting into the business, and if you've been in the business for a while, you know this, you are going to get calls all the time of people saying, I can send you 10 qualified loans a month. I can do this. I can do that. I can do this. I can do that. The biggest mistake I've made in my career was early on. I said, you know what, I really need to kickstart this thing. And I signed up for, some sort of lead generation system. I won't share how much, but it was definitely a good chunk of money. And I got almost nothing from it. Right. And I really spent a lot of time on it. I built a system around, when a new lead comes in and my process, and I had all these things set up to like a call, a text message, a follow-up call, an email. Like I had this whole process built and I was like, this is definitely going to work. I'm going to crush it. And 6 months in, I was like, this was a huge waste of money. Right.
Yeah.
And what I could have done instead with that money and with that time that I spent was get out and build a deeper relationship. So my biggest lesson and my sort of focus and I don't know, there's a great book called The One Thing by, I think it is by Frank Keller. Yeah. And I love that book because it really has helped me say, like, what is my focus? Like, let's focus on one thing. And so at a certain point, kind of after that, I said, and this was around the time, Blake, actually, that you and I met. And I said, you know what, my one thing is going to be deeper, not wider. Right. And I'm just going to invest my time, my energy, and my money in working and finding people that I like, finding people that I would enjoy working with, and just go deeper in there, invest in that. Right. Like, let's spend more time on calls. Right. Let's go out to lunch. Let's do some sort of event together where we can bring in home buyers, or let's invest in like our relationship, because things will come from that relationship that are better than just some random person who happened to fill something out online. And then I called them and like, they were like, I don't even know what I filled out online. Right. Or they just never answer and nothing happens. Right. I'm going to have much more fun in my business by hanging out with fun people and building something together as a partnership. Sort of like a group project in school, right? But we're getting paid at the end, and so you get to like work with people that you like,
that kind of project,
and build a business. Yeah, and so while we are kind of sole practitioners in our businesses, the partnerships are so important, and I would much rather have 10 really deep relationships where we know each other, know each other's families, have dinners together, like we just are friends that do business together, as opposed to 50 people that know who I am and hand out my card, and it's sort of a spray and pray type of mentality. I
Sure,
would,
sure.
the deeper, not wider has been my one thing. And it has really kind of, I've seen huge jumps in my business since I really just started to focus on that, because the relationships are everything. And so, yeah.
Love that. Okay. Well, we're getting towards the end of this episode, so I want to give you the chance to, if there's any advice that you'd give to somebody else who's, building either. I would say this could be either directly to agents or directly to a loan officer. Like any advice that you would give who's starting to build a referral-based business, like if they haven't yet begun doing that, like what are some things that they can do in your mind to start that process?
Yeah, I would say just get out in your community. The way we look at the business from a relationship perspective is there's sort of three buckets of people. The top is clients, below that is people that know you, and below that is
Mhm.
people that don't know you. And you can't move from people that don't know you into a client, right? Or a partner, right? So you got to move from people not knowing you to people who do know you, because then they can easily move to clients and partners from there. And so getting out is extremely important, right? You're not going to find your next referral partner. You're not going to find your next client sitting behind a desk, sitting in a computer. You're going to find that person by going out, find things that you like to do. I love to play golf. And so like I have a ton of relationships just through like my golf league and
Yeah,
the
the
people I
community.
play
Yeah.
golf with. There's a great community here in Charleston, and I joined the Harbor Club downtown. Shameless plug, but they're fantastic, and I've met so many people through there. And actually, that leads to the person I met who introduced us, Blake, was because I joined the Harbor Club, right? And so meeting those people and getting out into the community and sort of investing in your time, energy, and money in ways to meet more people, and just whatever the social media term is, right, is like finding your tribe kind of thing, right? Is like figure out places that you like to be, to meet people that you like, and just make sure they know who you are, they get to know you, and they want to be friendly with you, and then obviously that they know what you do, right, and that they know what business you're in, because you hear it a lot. I hear it a lot from realtors. You hear it a lot from loan officers. It's like, wow, my friend just bought a house, but they didn't call me, and it's like, well, that's probably because your friend didn't really remember what you did. Or, obviously
That's a
there's
good
some
point.
friends that are like, I don't want my friend to know everything about me financially. So like, which that's fair. I get it. Right.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like you just need not only people to know you, but they need to know what you do. And
Sure.
so just investing and getting out is key. And again, get off the phone, get face to face, like just be a human being, for lack of a better way of saying it, instead of just a voice over the phone.
Love that. Well, that's true. And I think the quote you were searching for there was your vibe attracts your tribe, right? And that couldn't
There it
be
is.
more
Yes.
true. Just because when you're around like-minded individuals, then there's a lot more creative juices that flow. So, okay, well, cool. Well, is there anything that we didn't cover that you want to get out or people to know about you? Just in general, because obviously at the bottom of this, they're going to have all of your links, how to get in touch with you. They're going to, be able to see your social media links and, LinkedIn, things like that. So is there anything we didn't cover that you want people to know about, or how much time you spend on caring for your mustache, anything like that?
Yeah, the mustache is actually pretty easy. It's a light lift, which is great. The big thing I say is that, and Blake, you and I talk about this a lot, but we try to have fun in this
Yep.
business. Life's too short to not have fun. I've worked jobs in the past where I just was not having fun, and it's a long downstream effect into personal life, not work life, to just you know to be a really drag on what you want to do. And so, the big thing I want to say is just about my business, and my advice to people is like, enjoy it, have fun. And to your point, your vibe attracts your tribe. Is if you're having fun and people can tell you're having fun, they want to work with someone who seems like they're enjoying what they're doing. And so the more you can seem like you're having fun, the more I think people are just going to be attracted to working together. So I tell jokes a lot. I make sarcastic comments. It's just what I do. It's just who I am. And I would again rather work with someone who's going to enjoy that than try to change who I am for someone else. So
I couldn't agree more. I feel like that humor breaks down walls, and like that opens doors to a lot of people. So, well, cool. Well, if you want to connect with Cody, all of his links are going to be below. and you can book a meeting with him. You can get to know him. You can ask him follow-up questions. If you're a young loan officer as well, you can reach out to Cody. He's a really good guy. So thank you for joining us on the podcast today, sir. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. And everybody else, thank you guys for tuning in today. And as always, thanks for following Built by Referrals. And if you're looking to build your business through relationships and referrals, then you are definitely in the right place. So thanks a bunch. You guys have an excellent day.